Alice, you did an article and said a lot of the things I've been thinking. Ravens were very good, don't get me wrong. But again, now that offense, there's 16, 17 games of tape on it. People are going to figure out exactly what they were doing. And as good as Lamar Jackson was, he deserved the MVP. Let's see if he can do it again. That's kind of where I'm coming from with it.
Yeah, and history's on your side if that's your argument, as I laid out and as you just stated. Let's just start with simple regression, and this is you don't even have to look at the tape for this one or think you're fielding an insult Lamar Jackson's way. Patrick Mahomes throws 50 touchdowns, wins the MVP, throws 26. Okay, you might say he was hurt. He still played in 14 games. Peyton Manning throws 55 in 2013, that record-setting year. Comes back and throws 39. That's still a huge number, but it's not 55. Tom Brady's 50 touchdown year, I believe that was with Randy Moss. Sandwich in between are a 23 and a 24 touchdown season. So NFL history shows, and really, even though I'm not a numbers guy, simple math shows that regression is looming for Lamar Jackson just in general. But if you look closer to the Ravens offense, I want to try and explain why. There's two roadmaps that may have now developed a blueprint into holding the Ravens, and it's both the Browns game in Week 4 and then the Tennessee Titan AFC divisional game. Both those games, you saw a underachieving and really a flustered Ravens offense when they weren't leading, and that's because the Ravens were front runners. They had a plus 97 point differential in just the first quarter this year. That's an astronomical difference and shows that they jumped out on teams and took advantage. Where now the philosophy, not only containing Lamar Jackson, there's some stuff that Tennessee did there with bracketing the tight end, eliminating throws across the middle. Jackson threw 19 touchdowns to slot receivers. The next closest was 15. Lamar Jackson threw 26 of his 27 of his 36 touchdowns when leading. That's 75%. So Tennessee showed you eliminate the middle of the field and then get on them early. And how you do that is by being aggressive on offense. And it's cliche, but it is true to beat the Ravens. Sometimes the best defense is a good offense. It's not about being a good offense. It's about being an aggressive offense. Get the lead on Baltimore, force them to be something they're not, and they become a bit more predictable. But if you let them run with that momentum, you see how they became the team they were last year. And look, we just talked wins and projected wins from PFF last year. If the graphic, if I'm remembering right, they had them around 10.5 or 11. So even aggression, just it's natural. When you have a team in a season like that, doing it again is 2 times as hard because when you have an exotic offense, you go from the hunter to the hunted very quickly in this league, and history has shown that.
Well, and the other thing is both playoff games that Lamar Jackson has played in were quite bad. I mean, they were just bad. He was bad in the Titans game, and he was bad against the Chargers the year before that. The other thing is a valid point that you made. He did really well when he was in the lead throwing the football. He really struggles when you have those tight ends double teamed, bracketed, and you take away the middle of the field. You can see that, and that's going to be the MO. You know, make them beat you on the outside.
Yeah, and I think it's two things. I don't think it's just Lamar Jackson not being able to throw the outside. They don't have a lot of outside receiving talent. Hollywood Brown is going to be a name to watch and really just a name to know. He's going to cause a lot of damage and headache for defensive coordinators around this league, specifically in the AFC North for a while here. But other than that, they're built on the slot receiver in Brown, and then they're big tight ends across the middle. And you go back and watch that Tennessee tape, they just were not having it. They would have their middle backer literally playing box in, bracketing across the middle. And really, Lamar Jackson made some incredible throws across the middle, throws where the defensive player's like, how the heck did he squeeze that in there? Or I should have intercepted that one. Like, Lamar was force feeding to the middle of the field. Now, I'm hesitant to think their offense is going to look the exact same. They ran pistol 567 times last year. The next closest team was 62 with the Arizona Cardinals and Kyler Murray. That's an anomaly. And to me, I think John Harbaugh and Greg Roman are too smart to just throw you the same offense you saw last year. But then again, this offseason is riddled with mystery. So they just might be forced to show you the same thing, which probably bodes well for the Cleveland Browns in Week 1 and Joe Woods seeing what the Ravens were on tape, seeing the blueprint, and then getting that same offense when the season starts.
And you also hit on something there. One of the reasons that the Ravens were so successful last year is because it's not an offense that you see. It literally is unique. So there isn't any carryover from what you did the week before or what you're going to do the week after. The Ravens are that different, and it's that much harder to simulate that. And you know what? Points to Greg Roman. That's their offensive coordinator. He's a John Carroll guy. He's a local guy. He played football at John Carroll. They came up with a really good offense, but now you've seen it for a year. So let's see what happens now.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And whether it was the Miami Dolphin Wildcat offense before it, or even Greg Roman's heavy pistol offense with the San Francisco 49ers, you see teams adapt. We'll never forget when Bill Belichick was stunned by the Wildcat offense, and we'll never forget Colin Kaepernick running all over the Green Bay Packers and everyone thinking, wow, is this the next great quarterback? Then things evolve. Defensive coordinators spend their entire offseason obsessing over containing running quarterbacks like that. And you saw the Packers. They just started hitting Colin Kaepernick. They did not care if he gave it up. They wanted him to hand the football off because we're going to make sure the quarterback run doesn't beat us. And one thing Tennessee also did in that game, and is going to be, I believe, a staple of Joe Woods' offense because he comes from that cover 3 shell, the 49ers, Seattle Seahawk type mentality. Bend but don't break. They're going to let Lamar Jackson and the Ravens offense get those yards in between. Look, the Ravens gained 513 yards against the Titans, but couldn't score. They couldn't get off the field they couldn't convert and stay on the field on those critical fourth downs. They went 0 for 4 on fourth down, and they were brutal in the red zone. And that's where Joe Woods is going to make his money, hopefully, with this Browns defense. That's going to be his philosophy. And at the end of the day, that's the key to containing a Ravens offense that was so dominant last year. But now the tape's out, and you just got to contain Lamar Jackson by always keeping an athlete on him. Your linebackers have to play in unison, know where he is, take away the middle. But most importantly, your defensive game plan needs to be tied to your offense. Kevin Stefanski will have to go out and be aggressive, go for it on 4th and 2, 4th and 3. You have to stay on those guys because if you give them any sort of life, Browns fans saw it last year. That Ravens offense did not look like itself in, what would that have been, like week 15 or 16 in Cleveland. And then all of a sudden, Lamar Jackson scores twice in 90 seconds. And by the time you're going into halftime, everyone knew the game was over. That's what you can't have happen. Tennessee showed you how to do it in the playoffs, and that's going to be the roadmap from here on out against Baltimore.
Now, the other thing is we're talking about regression. This is still a really good football team that added J.K. Dobbins to it. So regression, yes, but that's still clearly the team to beat in the North. Let's make that clear.
Yeah, and I hope I continue to make that clear. I'm not pounding the drum saying, this Ravens offense is nothing to worry about. They still have the most talented, the most elusive ball carrier in football. I don't care if you're Saquon Barkley. I don't care if you're Zeke Elliott. There is nothing more dangerous and more deadly to a defense than Lamar Jackson carrying the football. And you can do everything right, and then all of a sudden he's going to break off a 55-yard run that completely crushes your soul. He still is an accurate thrower of the football. He's a quarterback first. He's comfortable in drop back. And really this is more of a problem of the Ravens pass blocking than it is a Lamar Jackson issue. That Titans team was able to stunt and twist on the Ravens offensive line. So that's the weak point. If you can get them to pass, it's not necessarily because of Lamar Jackson's inefficiencies. That offensive line is not built to pass protect. But at the end of the day, like you said, they added J.K. Dobbins. The rich got richer, a lot like the Chiefs. This is still going to be an 11-12 win football team. But the recipe is out on how to beat them. And like anything, a lot of times it just comes down to a 4th and 1, 4th and 2 in red zone execution. The Browns need to be flawless there. And if you're going to go for the king, you best not miss, as they say on the wire, right? And that's how teams have to look at approaching the Ravens because they're still the team to beat. I'm not disputing that one bit.